Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Hey guys, what's up? Jin here, back with another episode of the Otakuology podcast. And today we are covering a manga that Mike and I have both really enjoyed for a while now, which is To the Abandoned Sacred Beast. But say hi, Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
So, I think I started out reading this one, and then I kept talking to you about it over and over and over again, and you were like, oh, I'm going to finally try this out.
Well, originally, I remember like how I originally figured it out. I remember there was the anime for it. There were like a season or two for anime for it. It like just came out. And I remember our mutual friend Justin really liked this book.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a lot of people talking about To the Abandoned Sacred Beast.
No.
Until the anime came out. I think it might have died down again. I'm not for sure. But yeah. I wanted to ask you a question before we get started. Do you feel like this is the definition of a hidden gem?
For this one?
Yes.
Maybe when it started. I feel like
I don't see anybody pick this up in any like haul videos, pictures, anything really.
Right. No, I think with this one, I feel like it's just you and I that I know that really read it on a regular basis.
And Justin?
I don't even hear Justin really reading it that much.
Justin complains about it. He thinks it should have ended by now.
Yeah. Just because of how it keeps going. And I would have to agree with Justin on where it's at now because it's not as fun as it used to be. And before we kind of had like a Monster of the Week thing going, where, you know, you get like 1 or 2 chapters or even 3 like maximum of like another character's kind of thing or a monster they were hunting. And now you'll get like a whole book dedicated to one guy and it's like, okay.
I think it's probably because they're also doing another manga at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so slow for coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, because they're also doing...
And I think they were doing 3 at the time, right?
I only know of the 2, which was Tales of Wedding Rings and this.
Because weren't they doing... I don't know. I think there was one more, but it wasn't a very long series.
All right. Well, I haven't seen that one. I only know about the two books.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and this one I think has underrated covers because the covers are really nice to me.
I think a lot of the artwork's really nice on these covers too.
Yeah.
I always like looking at the back of the covers. Like this one has our main character Schaal, like laying on a dragon, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the front, she's like
that might allude to book 2.
She's brandishing a rifle on the cover. But do you want to get into it and talk about the synopsis for this?
Yeah, read the back.
Yeah.
So this one's printed by Vertical, guys, if y'all haven't checked them out.
Which is now an imprint of Kodansha.
Right. All right. So it says, during a protracted civil war that pitted the North against the South, the outnumbered Northerners used dark magic arts to create monstrous super soldiers, Incarnates. Now that the war has ended, those sacred beasts must learn how to make their way in a peaceful society or face death at the hands of the beast hunter. Nancy Schaal Bancroft, the daughter of an incarnate soldier who met an untimely end at the hands of one such beast hunter, turns to hunting the hunter herself. But once she catches up with her quarry, she discovers hard truths about the lives of the Incarnates.
There's bar truths.
I know, it looks like it's BARD, and I was like, that's not it.
Oh yeah, it does. It does look like it kind of curves at the bottom. It does.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
You know the weird thing though, looking at this, I think every every letter in this is an H. There's no lowercase b's in this at all, which is weird.
Huh. Yeah, that's
Just
true.
just a weird like thing to see. I'm like, there's nothing in here. What the fuck?
Yeah. So our story starts out with Nancy Schaal, or we'll call her Schaal. That's what I call her. She's traveling the lands, discussing how exactly the world has become after the Civil War, which I've always taken it like this is possibly like an alternate like North America.
Yeah,
That's what I've
I
always
kind of feel that
taken
way
it as.
too. At least
Yeah,
until we actually talk about what the name of the places are.
yeah, true.
So our Civil War probably inspired like the writing of this book.
Yeah. So we have the Incarnates, which are these humans who used to be, or these beasts who used to be humans, I guess you could say. And the North uh, created these incarnate beasts to basically win and turn the tide of the war and defeat the South. So we are post Civil War in this war torn country, and we see these giant monsters, and we see a young Nancy Shaw uh, talking to her dad, and her dad's a dragon. Her dad looks like a big giant dragon, and he
Right.
doesn't really respond to her. But we find out that somebody killed her dad because they said that some people fear the beasts because the beasts have a corrupting influence on themselves, and they start becoming less human and acting more beastly, and um,
That's where the Beast Hunter comes in.
that's where the beast hunter comes in. So we have Nancy Shaw in this town. We don't know where exactly she is, uh, but she's looking for a man in a white coat, and she goes into a bar.
A man in a white coat.
That's true.
We're all a little crazy here.
A man in a white hooded coat, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I found you! I found you! You killed my father! I am." It kind of reminds me of like the Princess Bride a
Yeah.
little bit. Like, I am Montoya. You killed my father.
I am Inigo Montoya. You have
You
killed
killed
my
my
father.
father.
Yeah.
But she finds this guy, whips out what she calls an elephant gun. I thought it was just like a rifle, but they call it an elephant gun.
Yeah. I mean,
And
an elephant gun is a rifle. It just has a bigger like bullet.
I thought it was like bigger. An elephant gun was
Mm-hmm.
bigger than than what it's depicted in this. Because I was thinking like
The one with the big suppressor on it.
Like in Jumanji,
Yeah.
you know, the hunter from Jumanji. That's what I was thinking of
Yeah.
with his gun. Uh, but we see this guy sitting at a table, just resting, and she whips out her rifle and just starts firing at this guy. Hits him point blank, not really point blank in the chest, but hits him square in the chest. And he's like, "God, what's going on? I was trying to catch some Z's. I don't know what's going on." And uh, it seems like this gun is so powerful, it pushes her back against the wall.
Right.
Uh, and she's like, "Did I get him? Did I get him? Did I kill him?" And he's like, "For the love of God, what the hell's going on?" And you see all these people in the bar. They're like, what the fuck is going on in here? And he's like, "Oh, sorry, folks, I don't know what's going on with this woman." And he grabs her and takes off with Schaal, and we get this really interesting conversation. Do you want to take this conversation, Jen?
Where they're behind the bar.
Yes.
Yeah. So she brings up that she hit him with an elephant gun, basically, and is like, "How is he alive? How is this happening?" And he's just still in that groggy state of waking up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she is like, "The bullet hit home. It hits you straight in the heart." And underneath his jacket, he kind of like pulls some like little bucklers or whatever,
Yeah, I
and a
think it's
steel plate
like a
falls out.
plate or something, right?
Yeah, a steel plate falls out.
Yeah.
And basically that's what protected him from this gun. And she brings up basically that she knows that he's the beast hunter who came and basically killed her father, and so she's
Mhm.
trying to come at him to get her revenge for him.
Yes.
Um, which we do have that her father's name is John Bancroft.
Yeah.
And but that she's been searching for him for a little while, which we don't actually know how she knows that he's been in white. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, I think we will probably figure that out later. Because honestly, I don't remember how she finds it out either.
Yeah,
Because it's honestly been so long since I've read any of this manga, I kind of forgot parts of it.
yeah. But
Like
I mean,
later on.
even in what we've like seen so far, like there's not anything that just says, "Hey, I found you due to X." You know?
Yeah, yeah. It just like she was tracking him down, but we don't get any real clues as to how she knew at this point.
Yeah. But we do get his reasoning why he basically left because she thinks he ran away to like cover his tracks. He said,
Yeah.
"No, basically it's my duty. I've come to find another incarnate to take care of them, which is this one that we know as Danny."
Danny. Yeah, Danny.
And
And he looks
and
like a big old troll.
yeah, he's like a troll incarnate.
Yeah.
Um,
And Danny's got a bunch of gold.
yeah, that he's
He's
given to
he's
people.
he's he's stolen a bunch of gold and he's brought it back to his family. And Danny he was one of the incarnate soldiers under this special squad of incarnates, I guess you could say. I don't remember what they were called. Were they just like the incarnates?
I think they were called the Incarnates, but I think that's where they were called the Sacred Beast,
Okay.
something like that.
And we see Danny giving all this bag of gold, jewels, stuff like that to his parents because I guess they're on hard times after the war. So he basically stole
Yeah,
all this stuff.
I think the whole town's on hard times, and that's what
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
bringing it for all of them.
And we see you see Schaal this mystery man's gonna go get Danny because he's after Danny, and she's like, "Stop! I'm gonna shoot you! Don't kill him!" And he's like, You're out of ammo. You're not gonna shoot me." Which I thought that part was really funny. He's like, "Bye! I'm gonna go kill this guy," you know.
Right,
And we see
right,
like, "Hey, Dan!" We see him walk up. He's like, "Hey, Danny," you know.
yeah.
Sorry,
And
you were gonna say something?
he tells them about the reports of how there's a bunch of wagons that have been hit up on the highway, stealing their gold and everything. So he's kind of been like a Robin Hood character right now.
Yeah, kind of like a Robin Hood character, I would say as well. Yeah, I agree with that. And then Shaw gets in front of Danny and's like, "No, I'm not going to let you kill this person." You know, to our mystery person. We still don't know his name yet. But this guy in a cloak, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you." But remember, she's out of bullets, and she does not know that Danny is right. Well, she knows that Danny's right behind her, but she does not know that Danny's about to attack her and squish her with his big giant meaty paws.
Yeah.
And you see the mysterious man swoop in and grab Shaw, and you see him say, he's like, "Danny, you're a captain. Uh, how why are you doing this? Basically, you know, what's going on, Danny? Like, we made a deal.
Oh
We
no,
made it."
he he's not he's not saying that Danny was a
Oh
captain.
no, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. He's the captain.
yeah.
Sorry.
Danny notices
Yeah,
that the mysterious figure was his captain.
yeah. That's what I got it mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he says you're supposed to be dead, and then the mysterious guy we meet, and his name is Hank, and Hank pulls out this pretty kick-ass. What would you call it? Like a spear? It's called they call it like a spear bomb. I think it is,
yeah. It
which
kind
is
of
like
looks like a harpoon.
yeah, it looks like a harpoon with like a stick of dynamite attached to it,
Yeah,
or like a grenade is attached to it. and he's like, Danny, we made a promise never to give into our beastly nature. And when once one of us gives into our inner like beast, one of us has to kill the other. Basically,
Right.
is what they like, this pact that they made while they were in the military.
Which we also find out what incarnate he is, because every incarnate that is in this, their code name is based off of like a mythological creature or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so
Yeah.
his code name is actually Spriggan, which
Yeah.
I'm not familiar on what that is per se, but
The only thing that I know what Spriggan is Spriggan's an anime. There's an anime called Spriggan.
right.
So I don't know what a Spriggan would be.
I don't know either. But
Yeah.
we have this big kind of rhinoceros looking creature now.
Oh yeah, he looks like the Rhino.
Yeah, he does. Like if Rhino like was hit with the serum in the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah, he
that
definitely. It
changes
looks
him. Yeah,
like yeah, yeah. And we get this really cool fight scene, and he takes him out. Hank takes out Danny or Spriggan, and he's like, Captain, how should I have lived my life? Would it have been better if I never come back at all? So you can see the impacts of the war itself that they have had on these individuals, which is
right,
very sad. It's a very sad first chapter.
right. Well,
And
and we also find out too that the only way that you can kill these creatures is basically like with a silver bullet.
yeah,
So it kind of takes into account like vampire hunters and stuff, and how they had to use silver bullets on
yeah.
vampires and stuff.
I don't think we find that out until like the second volume.
The silver bullets.
Yeah.
I think we find it out later on in this chapter or
Do we? Okay.
in this book.
I don't remember that. I always thought it was the second volume.
It's always a detail that can be like overlooked very easily because it's just a bullet.
Yeah.
You're like, he's got a magic
Yeah.
bullet.
Because he does. Hank does pull out a gun and like shoots him.
Yeah.
But we find out. But Schaal sees this and she's like, "Is that how you killed my father? Striking him down while he was begging for his life?" And he's like, "That's the promise we made." And he's like, "But why? Why do it? Why? The war is over, you know." And he's
Right.
like, "It's not over. Nothing is. None of us were able to finish it." So obviously, there is some deep-seated regret when it comes to Hank and possibly the other men who were transformed into beasts. You
Right.
know,
Other men and women.
this part I always felt was a little weird, honestly.
Which one?
This part where Hank basically tells Schaal to tag along
Yeah.
with him, and she's like, okay. I always thought that was a little odd.
Oh, that she just went without question.
Yeah, she just goes with him, and but this is the person who she is like sworn to kill.
Right.
But she just goes with him.
And I think he asked her so that she could see more of why he's doing it, because we do have with this first chapter where she questions why he killed quote unquote Spriggan, and why he killed her father. So now he's taking her kind of on this journey of, let me show you why this is happening, because they're a lot dangerous than what you think.
I understood that part, but I always felt it was so. She just automatically decided so fast, like, I'm gonna go with you, but I'm still gonna kill you.
Right.
I'm still gonna kill you eventually, right?
Right.
If she even knows that that's him who killed her father.
So then we get kind of this weird thing. It happens because it is starting to become night, and Hank is leaving, and they get out, and it's a full moon, and his hair changes from black to white.
That is true.
And she brings it up. And he goes, "Well, I'm also an incarnate. I was the captain of all of these guys, and basically it's my duty to go and um, handle the business and clean it up, not only for like respect to them, but kind of
Hmm.
as my burden for taking them into war and getting them into changing into incarnates and stuff.
Yeah, because he is. We find out later on in this manga that he is partially responsible for recruiting the members to do this
Right,
and be a part of these experiments,
right,
which is
um,
crazy to think about.
right. Especially, oh man, especially as well as he had to know him. That's the
Oh yeah,
worst part,
true,
probably.
true. I mean, especially when you get into the fact that in the military, like you spend like every waking moment with these people,
Right.
and they become like more like your family a lot of
Well,
times.
and we do get that because you kind of skipped over it a little bit. We do get a little flashback moment where
Yes, with Spriggan.
with Spriggan, and
Yeah.
we'll just read that real quick.
Okay.
Hank is sitting there kind of thinking about it. He says his full name, Daniel, and his code name, Daniel Spriggan Price. And it
Hmm.
says, "You were such a kind man." And then he remembers the stuff, and you have Daniel sitting by a fire, and it says, I come from a poor town, can't even get enough coffee to drink. But if I fight, everyone back home will be able to live easy lives. And that makes me happy.
Yeah.
As he's turning around handing Hank a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
So, we get that Daniel was this really nice person, and even though he was robbing these carriages and everything, he was doing it to help out his village. That's the
Yeah.
whole idea. And
Yeah.
I
But
think I think
go
that's
ahead.
kind of a weird thing going forward with this manga is it's almost like everybody's last memory of things was what they truly wanted. So
Yeah.
like Daniel's was he wanted to help out his village. Well,
Hmm.
even as a beast, losing his mind and everything, that's what he wanted to do was
Yeah. As he's
pull it
slowly
in.
losing it, and losing his self, he's still wanting to, do that as well, which
Yeah.
we'll get to that later on in this manga.
It's
What?
kind of like in monsters in movies where they want to like protect somebody and
Yeah.
that's the last thing they remember, and they're like protect Sue Ellen or something like that, and they
Yeah.
protect
Yeah.
this one individual,
Yeah.
or
It's the
even I guess we could even like say the thing from Thor Ragnarok, where the Hulk Thor's doing the whole thing that Black Widow did to Hulk. Hey, big guy,
hey, big
everything's
guy.
okay. you know
Everything's okay.
because that'll knock hit Hulk out of it, but
Yeah.
but it's got to be that particular person in that particular situation, not some rando doing it. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how every character is set up in this. At least all the incarnates are.
We have this really funny moment after that, out as they're traveling, where Schaal just stops. She's like, "We gotta have tea. I gotta have tea in the middle of nowhere,
It's tea time.
and it's tea
One,
time."
and then she pulls out fine china. So that's
Yeah,
another weird thing.
and I'm like, "Where did she get this fine china from?" And then I forgot. Oh, she has an entire suitcase with her that we didn't even really see, but she has a suitcase.
Right. Well, and that fine china is going to take up like most of that suitcase anyway.
Possibly, yeah, because she had like a kettle and stuff in there too. It looked like
Right.
a kettle or a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
and
mean,
we find out that her dad taught her that you have to stop and relax sometimes.
right.
So they have tea.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: do you think, like, as far as you've read in the series right now, that if she didn't teach Hank this, that Hank would be around with us as long as he has? Or
I don't, I don't know.
do you think the monotonous work of him continuously going would eventually
I
kill him?
I think she very much humanizes him and kind of stops him from becoming what uh, he's fighting against. To be honest,
From being
because but
an
she's
incarnate?
because she's around.
Right.
You know,
I'd agree with that.
yeah. because we get some pretty hairy moments in like the manga where we see him transform and stuff like that later on.
Yeah. So then we get into one of my favorite ones, going in with chapter 2 and everything.
Is it the Minotaur?
Yeah. Rogue Hill is the name of the town we're going into, and it's also called the Minotaur's Fortress. It's the town of Never Ending War. I don't know why it's called that, except that there's walls and all this other stuff that are built there. But at some point, like the village is outside of it, and then right in the middle, like everything has kind of been taken over and all that to actually be like a labyrinth. So I think that's one of my favorite parts is they took the Minotaur, and it's just not random. They actually did go with like the Greek mythology Minotaur and give him a labyrinth.
No, this part is actually pretty cool. We meet Liza.
Yeah.
Liza is a buxom blonde who I guess you could say she is Hank's what'd you call her? Hank's not assistant, but almost like a handler of some kind.
Yeah, kind of.
And she helps him with information and getting him stuff. And Hank runs away from her for some reason. I don't know why, but Hank runs away from her. But we find out that she's smarter than Hank, and she gets to their hotel before they do, and she brings him some information and stuff. And this is where we find out that she doesn't.
She's got files on every incarnate.
Yeah. She's got files on every incarnate, and I think she kind of has a thing for Hank.
Yeah.
I think because she seems to get very jealous about Hank, and you find out a little bit more about her. She works for the military division, for intelligence in the military, and she meets Schaal, and she's not very impressed with Schaal at the moment.
Right.
And we find out that one of the Incarnates is in town, and it's a Minotaur.
Right. That's why they came to this town.
Yeah. And the Minotaur is standing at the top of his fortress, and he's yelling. He's like, "It's time. The time has come to fight. Prepare for war." And he just constantly keeps yelling and yelling, and the obviously the citizens are very scared. And
right.
I forgot what I was going to say. My mind went blank.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, we get this little scene where Schaal is in the shower contemplating and thinking about the past and what happened, and what she's gonna do at the moment. And all I'm thinking about is, how is all the water staying in the bathtub? Because there's no curtain around this tub. It's just a bathtub with a shower head.
I mean, there could be. Maybe we don't see it.
It's not there. There's no thing around it.
Maybe that's the wall that we're supposed to be seeing, and then the shower curtain.
I guess
it is there, but isn't there.
But after she gets out, and she gets fully dressed, might I add, fully dressed in her very nice black dress. She gets out. She sees Hank sleeping, and we get this really. I like this, which it comes into play later on, but this dream sequence that Hank has, where
with
he's
Elaine
standing,
with Elaine,
with Elaine, and you see they're both in the military, obviously, because they're wearing military garb, and she's like, all the Incarnates have lost their humanity, so I'm gonna kill the platoon before that happens. And she's like, that's my duty. She's like, I loved you. And that's when we find out that Hank got shot. And that you can see later on where he has like a couple scars on him, on his body. In this point. But I like that we get a little hint about what happened to Hank. Because Hank is very much a mystery for quite some time in this manga.
That is true. Very true. But we get to the part where now that it is night, it is
Yeah.
the time for Hank to actually be able to be at his best.
Hmm.
Because, as you know, there is a reason
Hmm.
why night is the best time and why his hair changes color.
Yeah.
Um, so he shoots off a flare to kind of, I guess, distract the Minotaur,
Hmm.
and the Minotaur starts freaking out because now he kind of starts remembering things from the war. I guess he kind of lost part of it, and he's been into a cycle of it because he
Hmm.
brings up, oh, an Incarnate platoon signal flare was fired, um,
Yeah.
and it tells him what to do with enemy raids.
Yeah.
So they start walking through it. There's dead skeletons everywhere, weapons in them,
There's
different
booby
things like that.
traps.
Yeah, the whole thing is rigged, booby traps. Um, we find out that this incarnate's name is Theodore Sherman,
Hmm.
and initially he was a pretty cowardly character. Didn't really like to have to worry about anything, and would try and steer clear of battle if he wasn't in like a minotaur form.
Yeah.
Um, and was even like scared to fully turn into an incarnate.
Hmm.
Um, so
But Hank
as
talked him into to doing that.
right initially, but even then
Yeah.
he was still scared about stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that probably played into who he is now, of being this prepare for battle kind of gung ho crazy minotaur guy.
Yeah. As they're walking through the maze, the labyrinth, there's like all these spikes everywhere and traps, and it's very like dangerous. And we see Liza actually saves Shaw from a trap in particular, and uh, I think she was looking out for Shaw. It seems like because Hank ends up going off ahead by himself, and he leaves Shaw behind.
Yeah,
So we get kind of this bonding moment between Shaw and Liza, and Liza's not a bad person like she seemed to be in the very beginning of this manga when we first met her. She's not
yeah.
as
The
bitchy as
beginning of this
before.
of the last chapter,
Yeah, the last chapter, she's not as bitchy as before.
right?
But we get this really cool scene where Theodore, the Minotaur, and Hank square off and start talking, and Hanks tells him like the war is over, Theo. Like this is you have no reason to do this. Like why are you continuing this? And he's like, Theo, I gotta put you into this. I gotta put you down, Theo. He's like, betrayals, trickery. It's a trick. And I love this fight scene with him and the Minotaur.
Yeah,
It is really well done. And he throws up a flare, and he like the floor like breaks up around him, which is
yeah,
crazy to think about. And he falls through this hole, and you see Shawl, and she's like, "Oh no, Hank's hurt." And we find out what Hank's true form is. Hank
yeah,
is a werewolf.
right,
When I saw this part, I was like, "Fuck yeah, werewolf!"
right,
Because I had no idea when I first read this what he was gonna be, and I was like, "Yeah," because there's something about like a werewolf I always really like the Wolfman,
yeah, yeah.
very much like the Universal monsters. I always thought that was cool. Um, and to
Well,
get a character who,
I always thought it was weird, because there's another book later in the future where they have a lycanthrope,
yeah,
and
that's
for them
true.
to have that fight, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
basically using the same things, and they're squaring off against each other. Okay,
yeah. No,
but
yeah. But I thought this reveal was really cool. Like I was like,
yeah,
oh, because I wondered what his power was gonna be.
yeah. When you
Because
first started reading it,
when I first started reading, because I was like, I had no idea what it was, but he takes him out uh single handedly. But it also tells you that Hank does have a disadvantage because he can only turn into it when there's a moon when it's nighttime.
right,
So he can only really do things at night.
right, and I think that's one of the things between him and one other character having the two big main things in history and all that. of
Mm-hmm.
monsters, which is a vampire and a werewolf. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty crazy just how, but it keeps him basically human. I think
Yeah.
that's either it's made it completely go away for him changing like everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
only being able to change like at night, or
Yeah.
um, it's slow and it's lessened it a lot. You know,
Mm-hmm. But with this scene with Theo dying, and we had Danny before. Is it Theo?
yeah, this was
It's
Theodore.
Theo and Danny before. How
Yeah,
they It reminds me of like in like Vietnam when like the soldiers would come back from war and like they were hated and feared, and you're like, oh, you're a baby killer, stuff like that. Like, oh, terrible, you did terrible things, and they come back from war and like nobody accepts them for who they are.
right. And some of them
Eh,
are like that. I
yeah,
fully agree with that. I think Danny was the one where we didn't have that so far
yeah,
out of these two because people accepted Danny. They wanted that. But on the outside, when he left town, he was this gruesome monster that if you had a caravan with goods on it that could help his town, he
hmm
would sit there and murder you,
hmm
just to support that.
but with Theo, I feel like it was almost like a representation of like PTSD. Uh,
Yeah, and his was also based out of fear
yeah, yeah,
because hold on, let me back up a little bit and find it. There's a part where he actually talks about it with Hank.
hmm
He said it's right when Hank enters the arena.
yeah,
He tells them, the old squad is basically scattered to the wind, but I built this grand fortress all by myself. I've always been able to do that. No matter what enemies may come, they'll have to get through the fortress first. But then he basically says, I will borrow all the forms of children, the eyes of the bird. They sneak closer and have their true form hiding. But no matter what, I can build all the walls I want with all the traps, and somebody or something will still slip through. The only way to protect myself is to make the fortress stronger and basically bigger, and
hmm
have to keep I have to keep building it. If I don't, I'll where was it? Oh no, he gets cut off by Hank. That's what it is.
yeah, yeah, and he kills them, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, he says, that which we already can assume that basically it's probably um, him saying, where he can feel safe, he can feel protected by putting all these walls up and traps where nobody can ever get to him.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah,
he's
and we have
ruining the
this
town.
really interesting scene where Liza and Schaal or Nancy are taking out um Hank, because Hank is weakened by the fight, and he asks Shaw, he's like, "You are you scared of me now?" Because she sees his true form, and he's one of the only incarnates that can transform and turn back into a human
Right,
at this moment, and she's like, she questions and she wonders, were those my father's final words as well? Did my father beg for his life in this instance? Which she keeps going back to that.
right.
Which,
Because of these two that she's seen with Spriggan
yeah,
and the Minotaur,
yeah,
because of how their words were. They weren't words of hatred; they were words of sorrow because of
yeah,
their fears, I guess.
yeah.
But
Uh, Go ahead.
that gets us into our fourth chapter.
Yeah, true. Where we find this even bigger monster,
Right,
who
the
is
the behemoth.
the behemoth, who is, we find out it was, and there's another incarnate, obviously, and he is going from, I think they said he was going from one end of the country to the other end of the country. Is that what it was?
I think so.
Because he wants to see what's at the end
He wants to
of
see.
the,
He wants to see the ocean.
yeah, yeah. Slight spoilers.
Yeah.
Sword
That's where we're
swallowers.
going.
Yeah, but we see these cannons firing at this monster, and it is not stopping whatsoever. Uh, it's just going through and wrecking shop on these uh these military soldiers. And we see Hank come up and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. You know, uh I showed up, I'm here." Which begs the question, how did he know about this? But we also know that Hank knows a lot of stuff because
right.
of his guy in the chair. But he takes out one of the limbs of the behemoth and causes it to fall over, and they strap down the one leg of the behemoth so it can't get up.
Stupid.
Which I don't see why they
Well,
just didn't strap down all of it.
right. Oh, I think they start trying to, but
Oh, they do. I see it. They strap down the tail and the other arm and the legs. I didn't notice that part before in the manga, but they do that. And you see Schaal go up and actually talk to the behemoth, and the behemoth talks back.
he doesn't.
He doesn't? I always thought he
No,
talked back.
no, he can't say anything. It's just her
Oh.
still talking. Yeah,
Oh, I guess I read that wrong then.
yeah,
But she's like obvious. She senses that he wants something.
right.
He wants something, and what happens next, Jim?
She talks to him, and then we kind of get like a back synopsis of who he was before from Hank, which
Mm-hmm.
his real name was Arthur Alston. And he was a good soldier. You know, he followed all the orders to a T, made sure that he did what was asked of him, everything else, but still, like, there wasn't more that he put out, what he wanted, his wants and needs, anything like that. Which Hank feels made him kind of an awkward soldier, not giving more of what he actually wanted or telling
Yeah,
anybody what he actually wanted.
yeah, that's true. We find out that they're kind of sent there to protect the bridge. There was a bridge being built
Yeah,
for a railway, wasn't it?
yeah,
And if this railway is destroyed, it basically cuts off like half the country
yeah,
of like goods, travel, things like that. And the bridge is in the way of the behemoth. So if the behemoth starts going towards the bridge and losing his humanity uh, and hurting people, they have to take him out, if I remember correctly.
yeah. Which all these guys just kind of like keep standing in the way of him. That seems like
That's
what that,
true.
it's not so much him trying to hurt people, it's him trying to get there, and they just keep standing in front of him.
Yeah. And so we kind of have a little debate on whether or not Shaw has with Hank and asking, are you actually truly going to kill this person? Because he's not doing anything wrong. But to the people who's he's affecting, he's the worst thing ever. You know,
Right,
he's a monster.
right.
He's stopping them from handling their business, I guess you could say.
Which my
Ooh.
question is, they have a part in here where they're talking about, oh, hey, we're going to blow up the rocks or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the bridge is already a part of it. Why does it matter if the behemoth is going to go through the bridge or if they blow it up where he can't?
I think they were gonna blow up the rocks before he got to the bridge.
Okay.
Like, because there's like he's in like a canyon, and they do blow up the rocks,
Yeah.
but it doesn't affect the bridge. So yeah, there's that,
Yeah.
and we find out that an attack happens, an attack on the camp that they're staying at, which is it's really interesting because this kind of comes out of nowhere. It seems like,
It
and
does.
these are
I
these
think
are
it catches
so.
the. I think it catches the guy doing it too off guard when he sees Schaal.
Oh yeah, I know he catches her off guard because she wakes up and points the fucking gun at her, at this guy. And these are military men who I don't. I'm trying to remember how what exactly they were doing. They're like they never left the war.
Yeah.
It seemed like. Correct me if I'm wrong
What?
about these raiders because they're wearing military uniforms, but they're all like raggedy.
Yeah, it's like the South Side or whatever.
Yeah,
Because you got to think that even though like stuff ended, like not everybody knows yet,
yeah.
and I think
And
that's the
so
problem.
we have this scene after they get rid of the South soldiers. We have this scene where an explosion happens, and because they were trying to set up the explosives, so they could possibly stop the behemoth. And one of the explosions goes off a little early, and Hank tries to basically get the behemoth to stop what he's doing, and then he's like, "What are you doing? You don't know what. Like, stop this! You need to stop it." And Hank remembers what the behemoth wanted to do,
Right.
which was see the
Well, what
ocean.
Artie wanted to do, yeah.
Yeah, what Artie wanted to do. I have to say, this scene is so sad because he ends up dying.
Yeah.
He gets
He,
they set off all the explosives, and uh his like chest opens up, and
yeah.
it's just so disgusting. And
And
uh
even though that happens, like it still just keeps dragging itself towards the thing, you know.
after he is fully collapsed, and he actually does get what he wants. He does get to see the ocean,
Right.
but at the expense of his life. He sacrificed his life to see the ocean itself.
Right, because he was just never close enough to see it, and they just
Yeah,
they didn't understand that, and
yeah.
they thought that he was just trying to destroy this bridge and things like that. It wasn't anything that really uh, was something that they wanted and couldn't
Mm-hmm.
figure out why it was going to happen that way.
Mm-hmm. True. True. And
So
after
that's
this
kind of
ordeal, we see Hank sitting on the bridge on the railway,
yeah,
holding a silver bullet in his hand, and he's like, "I know what he wanted. He just wanted to see the ocean." A
right,
long time ago, he told me that he wanted to see the ocean, and Hank even tells him like, "You're gonna get to see the ocean one day. Peace will come," and then he's like, "That's what I told him," and yet I couldn't remember.
right,
And he sees Shaw try to comfort him, and because she's upset as well because she doesn't want to see any of the incarnates die. We find out the person responsible for the explosion was the man who sent Hank to kill the behemoth, which was the man who ran like the trains
yeah,
and, and the bridge itself. And we find out that Liza has some information about a particular man
yeah,
named Kane Madhouse. She's like, "We found Kane Madhouse," and once she said Kane Madhouse, Hank goes ballistic. Hank goes ballistic, and he's like, "Where is he? Where is this man?" And we get a small glimpse of Kane Madhouse. You want to take this part?
yeah. Well, so as Hank is walking down the bridge, he also tells Shaw what this guy is, and it's the man who looses the beast upon the world.
Yeah.
Um, but we see him, and he kind of is dressed up real nice clothes, kind of in a old English setting.
Kind of reminds me of like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, yeah. Jack the Ripper, Doctor Jackal. I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was walking by some ladies that were talking. Obviously, they're prostitutes because one of them asks if he wants to have fun.
Excuse me, ladies of the night.
Yeah, ladies
They're
of the night.
ladies of the night. They're
Ladies.
ladies of the night.
And
Prostitute is so over. It's ladies of the night.
yeah. And they didn't notice that he has a little girl with him, so they say, "Oh, well,
Yes.
never mind."
But they're like, hey, she can join us too.
Yeah, if you like,
She's kind of young, but she can join us.
which is
And I
weird.
was like, oh, okay,
So
this is
weird.
that kind of thing.
Right. So from there, though, he, I don't think he bites her. I think he just like makes eye contact with her.
I think he kind of
But
like hypnotizes her.
yeah, he uses eyes and hypnotizes her to actually go and attack the other lady of the night. And she ends up, the blonde lady of the night ends up ripping the throat of the brunette lady of the night out with her teeth.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just kind of a big thing, but that's who we find out that Kane is. He's basically the guy that can sit back um, and entrance people and things like that because the incarnate that he actually took on was the vampire.
Yeah, the vampire. Yeah. He's basically like the Dio of this universe.
He's
Because
the what?
Dio's a vampire. Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So yeah, that's how our manga ends.
Yeah, if you read this series, you find out more and more as it goes that he's there, but we don't exactly know very much about him. At least for a couple books anyway.
Yeah.
And then we get into it really hard that he is actually our main figurehead in everything, of still trying to give the Incarnates independence.
Yeah. Yeah. But what did you think of this first volume?
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Especially like to reread because there are different creatures in it. I feel like you have to think about it based off the creature, not based off of the events. And I do like some of these creatures that we saw in this one, but there's other ones that I enjoyed, I think, a lot more.
I think in volume 2 there's the gargoyle, which
Yeah.
I really like the gargoyle. When you get to that,
well, and then Shaw's dad, we find out isn't exactly a dragon. He's like a Dracolich or something.
Yeah.
And comes back to life, or can come back to life.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, there's other characters that are in it that I really like, and it's kind of funny looking at when we first saw Liza, where she starts reading off names and everything of different people, and realizing that there's still some of those creatures we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah, and we're on like book 12 at the moment,
right?
In the series,
she brings up the Arachne, which becomes a stable character in it, but then she brings up like 2 or 3 other ones, and we have never seen them.
Yeah, which is cool seeing all the different characters later on. Even in this one, you get to see later on in the books and unravel the what happened to the Incarnates, how the Incarnates came about, what happens to Hank, and his history between him and Madhouse,
Kane. Yeah.
Kane Madhouse, yeah. And how Schaal deals with everything, because Schaal is technically like the viewer's eyes into this universe.
Right.
Like she knows stuff, but she doesn't know stuff.
Right.
And there are times in this book and I was like, oh, this is kind of she's kind of like oddly patriotic towards the monsters at early into this manga.
Yeah,
She almost like idolizes them as and but also sees them as humans as well. It's why she doesn't want them killed.
right,
But I think this is a really cool concept for a manga. It's very different. I mean, there are tropes in it, like revenge and
right,
um, the monster hunting and stuff like that. But I, for a manga, I feel like this is fairly different than what we usually get when it comes to like a fantasy manga.
right.
Um, I like it. I like the setting. The setting is very unique.
Well,
It,
and one of the things that I feel like with this too, and I only know because of you and I playing the games and whatnot,
uh,
the Valkyrie Chronicle games,
yeah,
how you only have like such a big platoon that you use, and that's kind of what going into this I really thought about. Oh, well, they're going to have a platoon that isn't, that big, because we are presented with different options where it
hmm
never seems like the platoon is ever very big, especially like as you get into it, you find out that like 1 in 20 people actually survive the testing to see if you can even be an incarnate.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's just crazy from there. But then when you realize as the story progresses that the platoon of like 15 people that it seemed like goes from there into like over 50, it
yeah.
really adds to it and means more because you realize there's more guys there than what you actually think.
Yeah, like I love the look of this manga. Like the setting, I really enjoy the setting. Not saying like the whole like Japanese setting is played out or anything like that, but having something so drastic and almost like a very much like a Western setting to it,
Yeah,
kind of really changes things.
that's true.
It's like a Western fantasy, almost like Jonah Hex kind of, uh,
Yeah,
but not that crappy movie. The comic book, Jonah
yeah,
Hex. Uh, but yeah, I like it. I like it. I like the dynamic between Schaal and Hank and Liza. The only thing that I do have a caveat with is that beginning to where she just took off with them. I
yeah,
felt like that was a little out of character for Shaw, and I don't think she would have done that.
yeah,
Like if it was like the real world, like let's go with my father's killer to the to go off on this journey. But like I like it. It's a good read. I've only read like half of the series.
yeah.
I'm like not even caught up on the series, so I have no idea what happens like later on. Uh,
I can't actually remember where I'm at, so
but this is a fun series. It's different. It's dark. It's like a dark fantasy. Um, there's guns. There's action. The action's really nice in this book. Like I like the action sequences in it,
very true.
and it has heart. It's a manga that has heart and it has consequences in the manga.
Yeah,
Everybody's not happy go lucky really towards the end. Uh, in this story, you can see like there's some weight and there's some gravitas to what they're having to do,
yes,
or at least what Hank's having to do, I guess you could say. And there's
yeah,
very much like he very much lives in like that moral gray area almost,
yeah.
to where he
Well,
like doesn't want to kill
and
them.
and then we get to the point too where it's almost like night and day. I would say we get
Yeah,
to a point where all the people that Hank was hunting down are people with remorse, people that don't have very things, and then we get into other characters um, that are now where Kane has actually gotten a
hmm
hold of them and almost has like brainwashed them to an extent.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
just kind of happens like that.
yeah. If you're definitely looking for something a little different, I do recommend checking this out. It's a fun book.
Yeah,
It just comes out really, really slow.
it does. It
I remember
does. It does. It does.
I think when I picked it up, I think there might maybe like 6 or 7 volumes out at the time, and that was like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
or maybe like over a year and a half ago, I think. Because I was still living at my old place when I picked it up and I started buying it. I think because that was when like the anime came out, and I think
Right.
we just got volume 12.
I forgot we became friends before you moved.
Yeah, we like just got volume 12 like this year or last year, like late last year.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that it comes out very slow. I think we get like 2 volumes a year, it seems like.
Yes.
I don't remember.
I
It's
would definitely agree with that.
But yeah, it's an interesting read. If you're looking for something different, definitely check this out. It's a lot of fun. I like the art. I like the art style a lot in
Yeah.
this manga.
So,
Yeah.
well, anyway, guys, that's your show. Thanks for
Thanks for
checking it out.
listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out. Check out some of our other great shows that we have put out for y'all. They're all really amazing. Obviously, because it has me and Mike in it, right?
Obviously.
And as always, guys, see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.